More than 2 decades after striking a tax deal with Ireland, Apple is now being ordered to pay up. The European Commission says the tech company has to pay more than $14 billion in back taxes to the country of Ireland. This stems from a deal that Apple struck with Ireland in 1991 in exchange for Apple bringing jobs to Ireland. The company would pay a lower tax rate. But here's the kicker. U.S. taxpayers, you and I, may end up covering Apple's back taxes. Now, here to break this all down for us is Yahoo finance columnist Rick Newman. Rick, say it ain't so. Am I paying for Apple to get a tax break in Ireland?
Yeah, that could be the case. This is very complicated. Even tax experts don't completely understand what Apple's doing in Ireland. But it appears that they were sort of putting money into a subsidiary of a subsidiary, which basically meant that instead of paying the tax rate of 12.5%, which Ireland has, they were paying a tax rate that the European Commission says was 0.005%, or I think we can think of that as virtually nothing. So the European Commission has said, nope, you got to pay at the regular 12.5% rate for the last 10 years. If this stands up, that would be $14.5 billion. But here's the catch, that multinational companies such as Apple are allowed to basically claim a credit on the taxes they pay in the United States to offset taxes they pay overseas. So if they do end up paying that $14.5 billion, that could basically lower their U.S. tax bill by the same amount, which means that's money the Treasury does not get, and that has to be made up by all the rest of us.
Now, has there been any word from Apple so far to you or to any other journalists about what they intend to do in this case? Are they going to use the offset provision that could end up kicking this money back onto the, taking this money out of the wallet of U.S. taxpayers?
Well, I think that's far in the future at this point, because both Apple and Ireland have said they're going to appeal this ruling in the courts. And this is a big deal for multinational companies. What's basically happened here is this group called the European Commission, which is part of the European Union. We have nothing like that here in the United States. It has basically said it has sort of overturned the tax rules of a sovereign nation. They've said, we're going to tell you what your tax rules need to be, or at least how to interpret your own tax rules. Apple and Ireland both say they've overstepped their authority. So they're both going to appeal to courts. This will probably wind through courts for a couple of years. And believe me, lots of big companies are watching this, because there are a lot of companies that have strategies like this, and there's a lot of money at stake.
Right. The tax deal itself was legal under the laws of Ireland, but the European Commission is using strong language saying that it was essentially a scam. Why are they calling it a scam?
The reasoning here is that Ireland made a deal with Apple that it did not make with other countries. And as a member of the European Union, one of the rules you have to abide by is you have to apply your tax rules equally to every company, so that you're not giving an advantage to one company over another. And that's what the European Commission said Ireland did here. So Ireland says, no, we didn't. We don't know what the defense will be in the appeal. And it'll be quite interesting. What would really be interesting would be if this gets into the courts and it sort of opens up this black box about how Apple and perhaps other companies do this accounting, because it is really hard to understand, and they don't report much of this publicly. And that's how they get out from paying a lot of taxes, apparently.
And in terms of the relationship between American businesses and Europe, what's the potential fallout in whatever the end result is in this case?
Well, nobody really seems to like what the European Commission did here. Apple doesn't like it, Ireland doesn't like it, and even the U.S. government is on record as saying, we think the European Commission should basically stay out of it when it comes to tax law, because they don't have the right to impose this sort of weird super state principles on sovereign governments. And in fact, the U.S. government says this complicates negotiations between the United States government and other government, direct government to government negotiations about how to have reciprocal tax law, for instance. And they're saying this just complicates things, and the European Commission should stay out of it. So they've done something that's unpopular here, but it's worth pointing out there's a lot of sort of popular unrest in Europe, just as there is here, animating the Donald Trump campaign. People feel in Europe it's a rigged economy, just as you hear here. So you look at the details here and you kind of scratch your head and you say, yeah, this does sort of look rigged.
Wow, Rick Newman, I learned something new today, that the corporations can offset their foreign taxes with a deduction in the U.S. I want an offset. I want to offset my taxes onto another American.
It's good to be a big company.
Clearly. Thank you very much, Rick.
Thanks.